Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Continuity Crisis. Today we're going to be talking about the Flash of Two Worlds. So, a problem DC runs into sometimes is they'll become old and dated and kind of old hat, and so they'll feel the need to kind of reboot or retool, and we talked about that in the first episode because that's Barry. Less formally than what they'll do later, because later they'll do crises and all sorts of stuff to formally do it, or flashpoints. But this just sort of happened a little bit more naturally. And the problem that sort of can come about, even if you're successful like with Barry, and you get a bunch of new readers and it works well, you're going to have people that are like, but what about... Whereas I like Jay, what about that?
Where's Jay Garrick? What happened to him?
But I don't think that would have been as big of a problem at this point in time, and this is about 1960, simply because people were still aging out of comic books. So very few people that read Jay Garrick in the 1940s are going to be reading Barry Allen in the 1960s. I think it's more of an internal thing at this point in time because it's all the same people still working there. From the Golden Age to the Silver Age. Last episode we talked about Gardner Fox and we were like, why is there so much Flash favoritism? And I initially thought, well, maybe he created Barry, but he didn't. No, he created Jay. He was the main Flash writer in the Golden Age, and in the Silver Age he kind of moved on to some other stuff, including obviously Justice League. But he writes this. And this is the introduction of the multiverse. This is the first time it makes an appearance. This is the introduction of Earth 2. And Earth 2, because basically the solution to the problem is, we can just say all the Golden Age versions are over there. On this other parallel Earth.
So they're not gone, they're not dead, they're just over there.
And we can keep telling their stories. And they're a little older because it's been 15, 20 years. So they're all a little older, and we can just tell new stories with them. And actually, the funny thing, because the reason they went multiverse is because in Barry's origin and his early appearances, Jay Garrick was a comic book character. Like Barry read The Flash as a kid.
And
so he does not exist in this new main universe. And so that's kind of what they're thinking. So the story starts. Barry is supposed to be meeting Iris. He's late, as he usually is, and it's for some sort of charity thing. And Iris is giving him shit. And there was supposed to be a magician that was going to perform. The magician hasn't showed. And so Barry says, I was just talking to the Flash back at the police station because, he's a scientist that works for the cops. A forensic scientist. That's the term. But I'll go tell the Flash and he'll come right over. And so Barry just steps out, changes to his Flash costume. And he starts performing tricks. He's being himself. And he's doing a trick. And he vibrates so hard that he just vanishes. He just disappears. And then he reappears out in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, my bee.
Oops, that wasn't supposed to happen.
He races back into town. The theater that he was at is kind of empty. And he's like, that's weird. And he's running around. And he realizes he's not in Central City. He's in Keystone City. And he goes, shit. I know that.
Oh, fuck.
And so he's like, okay, well, let me try this theory then. And so he finds a phone book and he finds the name Jay Garrick. And he's like, that's really weird. Okay, I'll just go to his address. That'll be my plan. So he shows up and he's like, hey, my name's Barry. I know you're the Flash. Let me in.
Yeah, knock, knock. Nice to meet you.
And he tells Jay's origin, which is crazy. Basically, Jay, the actual quote is, you accidentally knocked over a retort filled with hard water. He inhaled the fumes, and that is why he can run fast.
With hard water?
Yeah, gas.
Okay.
He inhaled some weird gas.
Okay.
And that's why he can run fast. And then Jay's like,
been there.
Well, that's weird. And I don't like that you know that. And Barry's like, no, it's cool because I'm also the Flash. And he also is like, I'm Flash on my Earth. And then Jay's like, oh my God, 2 Earths? What? This is a lot of information.
What are you talking about?
For Jay. And Barry's like, I just vibrated so fast that I tore a gap in the vibratory shields separating our worlds.
Separating the worlds.
And, you know, they give the explanation that, like, obviously you've seen the TV show. And so, like, the thing they always say, which is, like, you know, the two objects can occupy the same space and time if they vibrate at different speeds.
Right.
And so that's always kind of their explanation. So at this point, Barry explains his origin to Jay, and it's kind of the classic origin, you know, if you watch the TV show where, you know, he's working in his lab, lightning strikes, and then the chemicals splash him and it gives him super speed.
Yeah, it's like a combination of the chemicals and being struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so at this point, Jay is like, well, you know, I retired. And Barry has a theory, because he's like, well, I read comic books about you. You're a comic book character. And at this point, Gardner Fox basically writes himself into the story. Because Barry just goes, a writer named Gardner Fox wrote your stories. So what must have happened is when he was like dreaming, because Gardner Fox once said that he got all the story ideas from his dreams. So when he was dreaming, he was tuning into the vibrational frequency of your Earth. And he sort of explains this like Adam West Batman style, where he's like, the only possible answer. And it's kind of that vibe, which I kind of love. Barry's like, oh, but your book was canceled, you know, in the late 40s, which we talked about last episode. And Jay's like, that's the year I retired. That's crazy. But I'm feeling like I want to come out of retirement. There's been some weird robberies, so I've been wanting to get back in my gear. And so he's like, okay, let's do it. I'm going to be the Flash, you're going to be the Flash, and we're going to go solve these robberies. And so these weird robberies have been committed by a trio of Golden Age Flash villains. These are all Jay villains.
Okay.
We've got the Thinker, who has this sort of like metal cap that he wears that gives him telepathic abilities, more or less.
Okay.
And then you've got the Fiddler, who plays a fiddle, and the fiddle playing gives him some telepathic abilities. They do not explain Fiddler well in this. Like, on this page that introduces them, they give an explanation for Thinker and the third villain. Fiddler, they don't. They just kind of go, he plays the fiddle. It's like, okay. But later, it seems to be telepathic.
Okay.
And then there's the Shade, who controls shadows.
He definitely seems like the coolest of the three. Like, one has a silly little hat, the other one plays the fiddle, and he's just like, I am darkness manifest. And it's like, okay. And he also somehow manages to look the silliest. Like, the one that has the coolest sounding powers is the goofiest looking
It's
one.
also the best name, like the Shade.
Yeah, the
That's
Shade.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's the one that gets used the most comics-wise after this, though the Thinker is the main villain of the show's fourth season that I never watched because I gave up during 3. But he was the main villain of that. So Barry and Jay are like, we're going to split up. Because that's what we do, just like in Justice League. Hey, we form the team, let's immediately go our separate ways.
At least in the case of, like, 2 separate Flashes, they're both so fast that, like, splitting up means they're going to be able to cover all of the ground.
That is exactly what Jay says. Like, we'll cover the entire city in, like, a minute.
Yeah.
So we stick with Jay first. He comes across Thinker. Thinker is trying to steal some, like, priceless artifact. Jay's trying to get him, but the Thinker keeps projecting mental images of himself, you know, using his telepathic abilities. And so Jay's just running all around the room and exhausting himself because he's older. Like, he's middle-aged.
He's
and
running
so
out of breath.
Yeah, he just kind of wears himself out. And his last, like, Hail Mary effort to get the Thinker slams a door in his face and just knocks him out cold. So Jay's down for the count.
It's such a goofy way to beat the Flash, but it's also like how almost every villain ever beats the Flash ever. Like Captain Cold, just ice on the ground, blip, lands on his ass.
Honestly, you just gotta trip him.
Yeah, like honestly, like the Flash is his own worst enemy.
He just often very much is. So then Barry is facing off against the Shade, who's like robbing a boat. And the Shade covers the boat in darkness, and Barry does the tornado trick, because that's everybody's favorite thing to do with the Flash. He just swoops up all the smoke, I guess, in a tornado and dissipates it. During that sort of distraction, the Shade is getting away on a speedboat, and you have some psychic abilities yourself. Flash is running after him on the water, and the Shade shoots his like stuff on the water, and he mixed it with oil. So Flash Barry slips and wipes out. Shade gets away.
Can I just say, I was talking about how he's the goofiest looking of the trio, despite having the coolest name. That panel's amazing.
Yeah,
that's
him in
really
the shadows.
Good. That's
it's
really good.
very like German expressionist. Like it feels like an old 1920s silent film. These panels of the Shade and the Flash in that darkness. It is very, very cool. So Jay and Barry meet back up at Jay's house, and they're like, "Wow, we messed up bad. So let's stick together this time." And so now they go off to fight the Fiddler. And the Fiddler is, he's mind controlling people. He's causing havoc. He's trying to steal a bunch of jewels and stuff. Meanwhile, Thinker and the Shade are like, we're going to go help him because we realize there's two Flashes because they get to talking.
Right.
And the Shade is like, it's really weird that Flash was like really young and in a completely different costume.
Yeah, in a completely new outfit.
And the Thinker goes, he was exactly the same as he's always been. What are you talking about?
Yeah, like 20 years ago, today, not a thing has changed.
Well, I mean, he's older. Like, he's how I know him.
Yeah.
It's Jay Garrick.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, also evoking Adam West Batman, the Shade immediately figures out what's going on. And it's like, of course, the only possible answer.
The only possible solution.
So we better go help out our friend, the Fiddler.
Mm-hmm.
And so you will notice, on the page you're on your right, when the Flashes get there, they see the fiddle car. The Fiddler has a car that is in the shape of a violin.
No, yeah, I'm looking at that, yeah.
And thus, he is my favorite villain of the book now. Because I love the fiddle car.
Good.
I love that someone wrote that in a script. And then Carmine Infantino, in all his talent, as you can look at this book and see, had to draw a violin as a car.
A violin car,
I love the fiddle car.
It's honestly
amazing.
I'd drive it.
It's so cool. Genuinely, I love the fiddle car. I'm not even making fun of it. So Barry and Jay, they run in, and Fiddler's like, I got him. And so he's just playing his fiddle, so they immediately get mind control, and he's making him dance and steal jewels, and it's all really embarrassing. But then sort of out of nowhere, the Flashes are able to kind of break free. Jay just really quickly knocks Shade out, like he just goes, boom, done. Flash goes to Fiddler. He breaks the fiddle and he turns it into handcuffs really fast. And then the two of them go after Thinker and they just totally dismantle his helmet.
Just take apart his helmet.
They just take it apart entirely. And Fiddler's like, how did you guys escape? And Jay goes, well, there's a loophole in your powers because you were simply mind controlling us to steal jewels. You didn't tell us to try and escape. So while we were stealing jewels, we took a couple of smaller ones and we put them in our ears. And that blocked your music, and then at that point, we were free to just kick your ass.
So... So you didn't say we couldn't be mind controlled anymore. So, I mean, technically, we followed your orders a little bit.
All you did was tell us to steal jewels. You didn't tell us to do anything else.
True.
Loophole.
You didn't tell us exactly what to do with the jewels, so we just kind of... That's so silly. I love it, honestly.
And at that point, they shake hands, and Barry just vibrates back to his own universe.
Oh, so there's no, how do I get back home?
No, he just
drama,
does
no
it.
setup. He's just like...
No, there's very little drama, because, again, like I was talking about with Barry, they're both really nonchalant about it, as the Shade is as well. Jay has a motive being like, whoa, 2 Earths, that's crazy.
That's wild.
But Barry's really calm about it and really chill and this is cool. This
makes sense.
Yeah, and it just makes perfect sense to him. He's never like, whoa, I'm not home.
Yep.
That's nuts. Where am
I?
I?
This is weird. I shouldn't be here. It's just like, nope, yep, that
figures
makes
it out.
sense.
Figures it out immediately and just has a fun adventure and then goes home.
I can respect it.
And then, that's pretty much the end of it.
Oh.
It's a pretty fun story. And of course, this is important because it's not called Earth 2 in this, but it will very soon become known that.
Right.
And then they will very quickly start doing crossover stories. So a little bit after this, they will do what is Crisis on Earth 1, which is the Justice League and the Justice Society of Earth 2 teaming up. And then they start doing crises every single year, where just the two teams will merge in some sort of multiversal craziness. Right. And then that will culminate in the 80s with Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Okay.
Where Earth 2 is destroyed.
Spoiler alert, man. Good Lord.
All right, well, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.